I will open up this meeting of the Maynard Planning Board. Today's date is September 23rd, 2025, and the time is 7:04 p.m. All members of the planning board are present here in Town Hall. Tonight, this meeting is being held in hybrid format, which means members of the public, applicants, and board members can participate here in Town Hall or virtually through the Zoom link. Please note this meeting is being recorded. Bill Nemser will skip item 1. We'll go straight to item 2, what is the presentation for the Main Street Road Diet? And I believe, Bill, you want to provide an intro to this and then we'll turn it over to our consultants. Is that correct?
Yeah, I have a little background on it and I'll introduce you to our consultants. If the board likes, I can take you. And for the public, just give a little primer about what the goals were here and then I have Jeff and Srilaga and Seth, all from Bay Group, I think, will be giving you some of the ideas that they came up with. We had a pretty good a good amount of time to work on this, and if it's okay, I'll go ahead and start a little presentation here.
Yes.
And a lot of people, let me make sure I get this shared here. And oh, close. Okay, you guys should be able to see that now. Just to give everybody a little background about what were the ideas for this study and the work, and what did we hope to learn and build off of from the work that Beta undertook. This is from a grant that was made possible by the Massachusetts Downtown Initiative, one of the state agencies. And the idea was to come up with some ideas, suggestions for Main Street, specifically on the portion of Main Street between Nason and Waltham Street. We didn't have we had a few goals going in that we asked the consultants to work off of, but basically, a lot of people don't know, but Main Street actually is a 2-lane road. And we thought, what would be the possibilities of going, and the advantages if it was reduced to 1 lane, while allowing extra width for sidewalks and so on. So the area we're talking about here is roughly a 1,200-foot stretch. And the goals were pretty much, were based on feedback we've been accumulating since the master plan and even the housing production plan, but safety of pedestrians and putting pedestrians first was a big part of this, and a lot of complaints. I received a lot of complaints about the speed of vehicles, but I wasn't really sure about what the speeds were and how bad it was. So I worked with the police department and we had a month-long study of which I'll show you here, traffic numbers. Also, one of the goals of this would be to increase exposure and ability to access downtown businesses. The slower the traffic, particularly for that phone here. I mean, it's pretty well established that in traffic calming situations where vehicles go slower, there's more of a propensity to what's going on here. I want to get out of the car, and this is something that we hope to kind of build on. And again, the idea is a lot of people transversing Maynard, so maybe it can be a new capture some new outside business for our local enterprises. And then lastly, the activities of downtown, what has been accomplished in the last couple of years, particularly the sidewalk activity on Main Street, and it's again one of those effects where people could see the activity there. It is a attraction in its own right. Widening the sidewalks, it could help everything from additionally providing additional space for outdoor dining. It could allow for sidewalk type retail activity in cases, entertainment. We've had a number of street musicians and events outside. And it also gives us an opportunity to come up with new events and activities that would provide additional activities for downtown. Why do we want this? This was in general the feedback from the police study that I got. For a 25-mile-an-hour downtown for that little stretch, it's too small to see here really, so I'll give you the takeaway. Here's the takeaway for that. It's 2 out of 3 drivers are driving over speed limit 25. 5% are traveling over 5 miles per hour or more over the 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. If you sit outside in the morning, sometimes you can probably see it on any day. Sit outside, have a cup of coffee, if traffic moves by pretty briskly. The idea, we think it would be good for business in general. And this is just kind of reiterates what I discussed earlier, but some of the reasons why it would be beneficial to downtown for business, as well as safety. And the considerations that, well, this has been going on probably better part of 3 years. We've been looking at different potential activities. And we wanted to look at what were the considerations so that when Beta started to work, they understood the key concerns. So the first was, of course, safety. We have our crash data. Luckily, we actually only had 1 incident so far in 2025, and let's hope that's the last one. We didn't have any in 2024. And before at 2023 and back, you'll see the data in a little bit with Beta's presentation. But loss of parking is always an issue. So that was one of the kind of the caveats we want to start with. Minimal, if any, loss of parking in that area. There's always a possibility that something could go wrong with the infrastructure, and you've already perhaps constructed an improvement and you're stuck having to tear it up. Well, nobody wants to do that. So we've been working on this with DPW, this effort as well. Been working with us pretty much through the whole thing. And the goal would be to have everything in place in terms of funding and determining what improvements would be made where, but make sure that any underground work would be done prior to the new improvements being done. So that would be, more to DPW's bailiwick about what in particular. But that was something we were concerned about because that has happened in other areas in the past. The other thing is that a lot of people we have heard a lot of feedback about loading and unloading, because right now, sometimes people just stop and unload. And this board may remember when, I can't remember who it was, but we had an incident on Mason Street at one point where the loading zone that was shown on a site plan was the street, the public street. It's like, no, it's a lane of Mason Street. And so these were the biggest concerns that we found. And let's let these people in so you can get some more in. No. And so the police department is working with chief and department, DPW and Office of Municipal Services. In general, all support the approach of a road diet for this stretch of Main Street. So with that, the only thing I would ask anybody who's watching, and this is what I thought about when I was looking over the pros and cons, I mean, I'm just saying, my question I leave here with is what was the value of this, of having traffic go through there for businesses, for the community, for pedestrians. It just, I don't see any upside to it. Now, I've had people, say, well, I want to, traffic takes too long, it takes too long to get through there anyway. I don't know if it's not my opinion, but, so this was kind of my takeaway, that I'm thinking from this, what exactly are we trying to get if we don't do something there? And then with that, I will turn it over to. Blanca, do you wanna go, or is Jeff gonna go, or you can introduce the team maybe?
Yeah, I'm gonna,
Officers?
if Shreleka's gonna, can she share the our presentation?
You should be able to. Let's see. Yeah, we got it.
Okay, so I think we're ready to go if you are.
Yeah, okay. I think we're good. Okay,
Okay, great. Thanks, Bill, for that introduction. I think you make our job easy. We'll repeat some of this, but try not to do too much of it. So let's go to the next slide.
Jeff, would you mind just introducing your team for us?
Yep, yep. So yeah, Jeff Max Tudis from the Beta Group, project manager. With me tonight is our project team, Shreleka Murthy, transportation planner, and Seth Boyce, landscape designer. So just the agenda, we basically did introductions, project goals. Bill did a good job going through that already. Existing conditions, we'll set the baseline from what we're working for, and then talk about some of alternative concepts. Before we get to that, I just want to have folks keep in mind it is a really a feasibility study we're talking about here. So we're not going to be talking about design details, based on survey or kind of the nuts and bolts and drainage and utilities really, but it's really feasible. What we can show is feasible and providing a road diet and the benefits of that, repurposing the main street to travel lanes. So I just want to make sure that folks know that. And Seth is going to talk about the the interesting concepts after myself and Shreleka speak. So next slide. So we just introduced ourselves, and we worked a lot with Bill and Steven Silverstein and some other folks and town staff through the course of the project. Next slide. So as goals, as Bill said, this is kind of just reiterate what he said: improve pedestrian circulation, safety, and connectivity within Maynard's town center. We have an opportunity here to, repurpose, which is essentially a 2-lane wide street that promotes high traffic speeds, which is not conducive for pedestrian safety. We're using things like traffic calming measures, road diets, and reducing lane narrowing, curb extensions, all those types of techniques, and really balance safety and connectivity with minimal reductions to the on-street parking supply that exists today. Next slide. So, Bill, you've already said it. The study area is about 1,200 feet from Nason Street to Summer Street, and that's the area that we focused on. Next slide. So previous studies, there's been a good amount of work that's been done, over the last 7 or 8 years here, including the town-wide master plan in 2020 with goals to promote, pedestrian and bicycle mobility and safety. Naylor Court placemaking study in 2021, recommended some changes to the Naylor Court lot. MAPC did a parking analysis in 2018, looking at parking supply and demand, and recommended either replacing or removing the parking meters along Main Street. And then MassDOT Complete Streets program, the town has a prioritization plan. And several of these locations are included in the plan, including the intersection of Main and Summer Street. Next slide. So this just shows a snapshot, really kind of quantifying the existing parking along Main Street. So there's a total of 50 parking spaces, and there's you see on the top 28, and on the bottom 22 spaces for a total of 50. The blue area there is really typical on-street parking spaces. There's some undefined parking which people use. There's some 15-minute parking, and there's some a couple spots for drop off and loading. So those 50 spots we're using is kind of the existing supply, and we're trying to hold that steady and not lose many of those 50 spaces. And when Seth goes through the options or the alternatives, you'll see if those are impacted or not. Next slide. So this is a shot looking down Main Street, looking eastbound from kind of the western end of the segment. But you'll see on the outsides we've got at this location 9-foot wide existing sidewalks on each side of the road. We have 8-foot wide parking spaces. And then in the middle, you see we got 22 feet of travel, which really is too wide for one lane of travel, and really promotes, it's really, it's 2 lanes, even though it's not really striped that, but it can be used in 2 lanes. And that, promotes, kind of confusion, with people don't, should they drive it as 1 or 2 lanes, promotes higher speeds. It's longer crossing, for pedestrians. And so, this it's a great opportunity to what we call is a road diet, to reduce that pavement to one travel lane, and repurpose that area of the road into something that's more productive. And it can be terms of wider sidewalk, which can promote stimulate business activity, outdoor dining, people gathering, socially. So there's a lot of benefits to doing that, and you'll see some of that, and I want to go through the alternatives. Next slide. So this is just a shot a little further down, traveling east. The differences are the sidewalks a little narrower. In some cases, you'll see 6 feet or 6.5 feet. Parking lanes are the same, and travel lanes about the same. It's either 21 or 22 feet. So we pretty much have that same opportunity to narrow the travel lane, along the entire corridor, but the width of the sidewalk will of course change. Next slide. So I'm going to hand it off to Shreleka, and she's going to talk a little bit about the existing, roadway conditions in the study area. Shreleka.
Oh, sorry about that. Thanks, Jeff. So these next couple of slides are going to show what we observed at the site currently, based on our site visits and some of the past reports that have been done in the area. So on this slide here, we have our observations of the roadway and sidewalk conditions. Towards the western end of the corridor, we have the Main Street and Nason Street crosswalk. Traveling east, we have a shot of the sidewalk just down at the middle of Main Street to the bottom of the screen. We have a shot of Main Street by Open Table, getting closer to the eastern side. And then again, the sidewalk on the south side of the corridor towards Waltham Street. So when we look at the 3 sort of main roadways of this study, they each kind of have their own sort of transportation or traffic related characteristics. So Main Street, also State Route 62, functions as a principal arterial. It technically has one wide lane going one way, it's eastbound. It does have sidewalks for pedestrian or bicycle accommodation as is. And it has a primarily commercial land use with a speed limit of 25 miles an hour. Nason Street functions as a major collector road. It also has one wide lane going one way southbound. It also has sidewalks on both sides of the road and has a primarily commercial land use with a speed limit of 25 miles an hour. Summer Street to the north, it functions as a major collector as well. It has one lane each way, traveling east-west. It also has sidewalks and has a primarily commercial land use with a speed limit of 20 miles an hour. So these next couple of slides are going to show some more technical traffic information. This data is taken from a 2019 traffic impact and access study conducted by Green International Affiliates. So on this screen, we see the volumes at the 3 intersections at the weekday PM peak hour, that's between 5 and 6 p.m. So at the intersection of Main Street and Nason Street, we have about 350 vehicles. And at the intersection of Main Street, Waltham Street, Acton Street, and Summer Street, we have closer to about 450 vehicles passing through during the weekday PM peak hour. And for the Saturday midday peak hour, we have lower volumes, of course. We have about 275 vehicles passing through the intersection of Main Street and Nason Street, and about 250 to 300 vehicles passing through the intersection of Main Street, Waltham Street, Acton Street, and Summer Street. And this is during the Saturday midday peak hour, which in this study was 11:45 to 12:45 p.m. So also as part of this study, as Bill referenced, we did look at some of the crash data for these 3 intersections. The period of time that we looked at was between 2019 and 2023. So at the intersection of Main Street and Nason Street, there were 2 crashes. At the intersection of Main, Waltham, Acton, and Summer, there were 8. And at the intersection of Nason and Summer, there were 5 crashes. All of these crashes were classified as PDO, indicating that there were property damage only and there were no injuries reported. Notably, there was 1 crash in 2021 at the intersection of Summer and Nason that did involve a pedestrian. Additionally, as part of the traffic analysis that we do for this corridor, we look at level of service, and this is really looking at how traffic flows through an intersection and what intersection operations are like. And we look at level of service on a scale from A to F. A indicating that an intersection has very good operations, traffic is flowing well, there aren't too many delays, and F indicating that there are a lot of delays, the intersection is not operating well, and there is just a lot of traffic. So as you can see here, the intersections of Summer and Nason and Main and Nason both operate at a level of service B, while the intersection of Main Street, Waltham, Acton, and Summer Streets operates at a level of service C. This indicates that all 3 of these intersections operate at a generally good level. It means that there isn't that much queuing and that intersection operations are generally good. So as we are also looking at what's on the road in front of us, we inventoried some of the amenities that are present on Main Street currently. So we counted about 11 street trees, primarily on the south side of Main Street and towards the western end of the corridor. We counted 46 single and double parking meters on both sides of Main Street. We also observed 9 streetlights lining Main Street on both sides of the road. There is 1 mailbox towards the eastern end of the street. And in the summertime, restaurants offer outdoor dining spaces kind of peppered throughout the corridor. In terms of signage, moving from the western to the eastern end, we observed no left turn signage at the intersection of Main Street and Nason Street. We also observed a no right turn or one-way sign on the south side of Main Street next to the Domino's driveway. There were also 15-minute parking signs in front of the liquor store, as well as special parking designated for Open Table located at their driveway. Towards the eastern end of the corridor, we see a wrong way sign at the McDonald's exit on Main Street that looks west, and left turn only signage at the intersection of Main and Summer at the signal. So looking at what we have so far, after we've kind of looked at these past reports and understood what Main Street looks like today, we had an understanding of some of the issues and some of the constraints that we're working with when we're thinking about developing potential alternatives. So again, working from the west to the east, we observed speeding coming into the intersection from further west down Main Street. We observed outdated and broken parking meters kind of all down the corridor. We observed a general lack of parking enforcement and regulation. We saw 15-minute parking signs, but this is not always enforced. Loading and unloading for some of the businesses along Main Street occurs in undesignated areas, while outdoor dining does use on-street parking spaces, further limiting somewhat the supply. And overall, whatever alternative we propose, we need to ensure that the lane widths that are proposed can accommodate fire trucks and other emergency vehicles. So keeping this in mind, I'm going to pass it to Seth, who'll take us through some of the alternatives and concepts that he's developed.
Thank you. Next slide. So we developed 3 concepts given all the information that we've heard from Bill and our team, all with the goal to improve road diet and also improve pedestrian safety. Next slide. So concept 1, we have parallel parking, similar to existing conditions, but we narrowed the travel lane from 22 feet to 16 feet. This was something that was determined with the review from the fire department. We are also able to extend the sidewalk about 3 feet on either side of the road. Next slide. Farther down the street, it's a similar layout with an extension of the sidewalk of 2.5 feet, which gives more than enough room to think about adding street trees. And so when we're talking about all of these sidewalk extensions, it doesn't necessarily have to be concrete. Obviously, it gives room for impervious surfaces, green infrastructure, and plantings and trees. Next slide. Starting to the left of the screen on the western end of the street, we think about the intersection of Nason Street and Main Street by bringing it to a T and having it more of a formal something people are used to. It would be removing the island there and adding raised crosswalks on either side of that intersection, slowing, calming traffic. As we move east, it's parallel parking similar to the existing conditions with the addition of ADA spaces. It would include the rebuilding of the raised crosswalk in the middle. And then farther east of that, in pink, you would see a formalized 15-minute parking and loading zone in front of the liquor store, as well as drop-off and loading zones in front of Open Table and the dog grooming a business. Once again, these are conditions that we saw are existing, and this would formalize that. Moving farther eastward, we expand the parallel on-street parking on the north side of the street by removing the left turn lane in the intersection with Summer Street and Main Street. And these intersection changes are carried throughout each concept. This concept has a total number of 50 spaces, so it's the same as the existing conditions. Next slide. Our concept 2 centers around angled parking, all being on one side of the street on the north side. This is a wide, obviously takes up a wider space, but you have a larger amount of parking spaces in a shorter period of time space. So in this scenario, we can once again bring the travel lane down to 16 feet and add 3 feet of extended sidewalk on the south side. Next slide. Similarly, this is carried throughout with a 2-foot extension farther east on the street and a 16-foot travel lane. Next slide. So you can see the changes for the intersection on the west end. Once again, it's a T. These changes to the intersections they allow for a smaller amount of space that you need to cross as a pedestrian to improve safety, and it improves road diet as well. So you can see the angled spaces. There's about 21 in that first section, which is the same number as if you had the parallel parking on either side of the street there. As you move down the street, once again, we're offering 15-minute parking and loading zones as well as drop-off spaces. In this scenario, we get to a total of 46 spaces, so it's 4 less than the existing conditions. And once again, we're thinking about updating the parking regulations, adding street trees, and you have in red the proposed raised crosswalks. Next slide. So in this concept 3, which is the hybrid design, in this one we kind of took the best of both worlds, and we have the angled parking on the west end of the street here, the 16-foot travel lane, and the 3-foot extended sidewalk. Next slide. We were really thinking about the outdoor dining that exists now. So in this scenario, we have parallel parking, and in this specific location, you could have parallel parking on one side of the street and extend the sidewalk 6 feet on the north side and 7 feet on the south side of the street, while still offering the 16-foot travel lane. This allows for plenty of space for outdoor dining or plantings or street trees or whatever you see fit. And it also acts as a great measure to slow traffic down and, as Bill was talking about, get people interested in what's going on Main Street and get people out of their cars. Next slide. You can see here this concept. It looks similar to a bit of both. On the west end, you have that intersection. You have the raised crosswalks in red. You have the 21 spaces, which is an efficient use of space with the angled parking and the ADA parking. And after that existing raised crosswalk, which would be renovated, you see the flex spaces, the 15-minute spaces as well as drop off and loading. And you can see that the 16-foot lane and on the one side of the street, there's parking on one side of the street on the north, and then the extended parking on the north side of the street as you get closer to the intersection of Summer and Main Street. This scenario has a total parking of 49 spaces, which is just one off of existing conditions. But you can see in yellow all of the added sidewalk and pedestrian space that you would be gaining. Next slide. So looking at all 3 concepts, you see that in each one, we bring the travel lane width from about 21 to 22 feet all the way down to 16. We have similar amount of parking. Concept 2 is the one where you lose out the most, only losing 4 spaces, and getting pretty close on the other 2 concepts. We have a similar amount of space for flex spaces as well as loading zones. But in concept 1, you add 7,200 square feet of sidewalk or pedestrian area. In concept 2, you add 6,000 feet, and in concept 3, you add 7,500 square feet. So there's really a big improvement there. And on that note, I'm going to hand it back over to Jeff.
And next slide. Yeah, I'll just say what Seth was talking about on those concepts. It's nothing's set in stone, so we're showing, the parking spaces or loading areas or so forth. Those are all flexible, right, to be to moved around. So those are just really concepts for right now to show you what's possible and feasible, but yeah, things can be moved around depending on the need of businesses. So some other things to think about and considering with this plan as it moves forward. To think about, if you want to keep paid parking. If you do, want to consider maybe installing a more modern, parking paid system than the meters. And really, establish or enforce, parking regulations along Main Street. The reason for that is it's not about revenue. It's really about parking turnover. So when you have businesses, you want people to, come and enjoy the businesses and shop, but you don't want them parking for 8 hours in those spaces. So that's that's not a good use of the space. So that's why that's important. There's an opportunity to improve the street lighting along the street to be pedestrian style lighting that shines down, not up into upper stories of buildings. So there's a great opportunity to do that, as is for streetscaping and for planting additional trees or vegetation, as Seth showed on a lot of those concepts. It's providing quite a wide additional area. Not all of it has to be hardscape. It could be tree planters or pits or pervious area. And trees really make a town center downtown more comfortable, more shade, and just more attractive for pedestrians. Obviously, particularly in the summertime. So those are some additional thoughts to the concepts. And thank you. And that's our presentation. So welcome any questions you might have.
Thanks, Jeff. Bill, I'm thinking to first turn this to planning board members for questions and comments, and then we can open up to the public for any questions or comments they may have. So we do have a few engineers on the board, so I will remind everyone that this is a feasibility study. And so keep that in mind as you're providing comments and questions.
I got my protractor.
Yeah. So for the planning board members, any questions or comments? Okay, feasibility study.
Yes,
Okay.
on these concepts, are they all or nothing, or are there parts of them that can be built independently or in stages?
Oh, yeah. I mean, right. I mean, that's a good point. You can phase these in, or in stages. And we're showing the entire, 1,200-foot area. But if you wanted to do, first a block or, or two, in stages, that's perfectly fine. Keeping in mind, like if you do a first stage, you don't want to preclude something else in another, further down, another stage. That's all. But the project could, definitely be phased if it has to. Several reasons for that. One is budgetary, but it certainly can be phased.
So if we were phasing it, what's our biggest bang for the buck in regards to improving safety?
it's the narrowing of the lane. So it's not so much parking, but it's to reduce that 22-foot wide lane to 16 feet, which would effectively slow down traffic. It wouldn't reduce capacity at all, but it really just manage the traffic better at a slower speed.
And of the concepts, which of them are best in accommodating deliveries? And pickups, whether
yeah.
they're trucks or they're DoorDash.
Yeah, I think all of them do a good job. We've identified loading and deliveries on on each one. I'm not sure they're that much different. The only thing I'll say, angle parking presents different set of challenges for folks, and so you may not be able to get a parking or loading area in back of an angle. So when people back out, so that's an issue. Um, a lot of people, especially as you get older, and if you're like me, it's harder to turn around when you back out. So it's something to consider, as opposed to a parallel space. But I think really any of these concepts we can accommodate, park loading and deliveries, and we talk like flex spaces. You have the ability to have those, like say, more in the morning, and then you can revert those to parking spaces later in the afternoon. So that's a possibility also.
Lastly, I was wondering, I think the first concept had widening every sidewalk by like 3 feet. And I'm wondering if there aren't some advantages in just widening one side 6 feet. I don't think 3 feet's enough to get the dining off the street onto the sidewalk, and it seems to me if we're working on both sides of the street and resetting curbs and utilities, the costs are higher, and plus the impact on businesses and how long their access is constrained seems more difficult to do if we're doing both sides. Is there any advantage of just doing one side wider and instead of both sides of the?
Yeah, I mean that's an interesting point. I think it comes down to the actual location, the businesses, right? So yeah, it's might be easier to build, but I guess you're depending on what businesses are on each side of the street, and what we're trying to provide as a benefit there. So if you did all on one side, that's great for I'm just saying, for example, the north side. But the side, are you limiting outdoor dining on the south side because of that? I'm not sure that's the case, but that's possible. But we didn't look at that concept, but that's certainly a viable option to look at.
Questions, comments?
Yeah, I have a couple. The angled spaces, my question was similar, that I feel like most of the trucks that I actually see doing many deliveries. Is the point that they're supposed to pull into the angled parking spaces for that loading time? Just because usually I see trucks that, couldn't fit into a standard parking space.
Yeah. I don't know. You want Shrelike, you want to go to that concept?
Yeah, in that case, there is a large area that includes multiple spaces as your flex space.
Okay.
So it does provide, a large area for a truck, not just in one of those spaces, but in multiple.
But
Okay, that makes.
yeah, I mean that's a good point. We know how truck delivery drivers work, right? Are they going to pull in, or are they actually going to kind of just do it
Well,
half parallel?
you've introduced me to the fact that theoretically now we have a loading and unloading zone, which I find laughable. So that's great to know. I had no idea. Nobody ever uses it, so. They just stop wherever they feel like stopping, it seems, so. And then my only other question was, you said that the current pedestrian and bicycle accommodation was on sidewalks. And you're not actually allowed legally to ride on sidewalks on your bicycle in Maynard. So was there any other consideration, were there any other ideas for accommodating bicycles traveling down this street?
Yeah, yeah. So so the thought is that if we reduce the travel lane, to 16 feet, it would really become, and where it slow speeds down, the bicycles would really, they're not going to be going much slower than vehicles. Really, they could ride in the lane. Sometimes you see sharrows, like this in downtown areas, but there wouldn't be enough room to provide separate bike and pedestrian facilities. But if people want to have, we would prefer that they would walk their bikes on the sidewalk. Places like Lexington Center, right? So they really, and there's a bikeway, the Minuteman Bikeway goes right behind there. So they really sign it for people walking on the sidewalk. But we're thinking if we slow down the vehicles, we have the raised crosswalks. It's going to promote slower speeds. It would actually be safer for bikes to just ride in the roadway.
And Jeff can speak more to this, but 16 feet is, wider than, that's what is needed for a fire truck, or in public safety, but that is wider than a typical lane would be for just one car.
Okay, thanks.
And for the benefit of the audience, I believe 16 feet is about how wide Nason Street is between cars.
Correct. Yep.
Other comments, questions? Good. So obviously we all know that we live in the northern hemisphere. Is there any consideration for adding amenities, either more trees, dining, or increased sidewalk on the north or south side? Do you understand what I'm asking about?
Can you restate that, please?
So in the winter, we have, and there's a north side of this roadway and a south side.
Mhm.
And obviously the north side will end up getting more sun than the south side and for a good period of the year. Because the buildings on the south side will put shade onto the south side sidewalk. So for when we're considering amenities, do you consider essentially that we have a north and a south sidewalk here?
Yes. So, that can go both ways, right? Depending on the season. In the summer, it might be nice to be in the shade of the buildings on the south side of the street if you're dining outdoors. But there are trees already on both the south and the north side. So in terms of street trees, that's not so much of a consideration. Maybe it's a consideration, the type of tree, but they're street trees. So
Okay, never mind. I will ask my next question. For the feasibility study, did you include considerations of accessibility for folks that say have different mobility challenges, or is that not part of a typical feasibility study?
Yeah, I mean, this, all these concepts would be designed with ADA compliance in mind. So, ADA, pedestrian ramps at crossings, designated accessible parking spaces. There could be more that we can do. So we didn't go into a lot of detail with that, but each of these plans can be further developed and designed, and it has to made ADA compliance.
Bill Nemser. One of what I did not see on the project goals was accessibility. I think that should, some concept of accessibility should be part of the project goals as this goes forward.
And I would also point out the need for that during construction.
The what?
I would point out the need for that during construction, because that's often a difficult thing to stage, so. Design has to be well thought out, be able to maintain accessibility.
Yeah, good. That's an excellent point. Yeah, when the project gets to that, it'd have to have a traffic management plan that's developed that will allow access to businesses, accessibility as well as emergency vehicles.
My last question is about the raised crosswalks that are proposed in some. Knowing the area, it looks like, and this isn't a criticism at all, but it looks like the raised crosswalks are in opportunistic areas where they kind of feel like they fit pretty well. How did you choose though where to place the raised crosswalks, and why isn't there any raised crosswalks towards the eastern part of these designs?
And so the ones on the west side are kind of like a gateway treatment, right? Where people are perhaps coming at a little higher speed. So it's to try to, control the speed, or reduce the speed at that end. Yeah, we could certainly put one on the east end. It wasn't a decision, not to do that, but, perhaps that's even a good idea. We have to figure out where a good place to do that is, not too close to the intersection. We may need to eliminate some parking spaces, maybe, one or two to do that, but I think that's still on the table. It's always best to have kind of uniform spacing of these devices in a quarter. So there could possibly be one, further down, as we head east. Again, there may be trade-offs where we put that. We may have to lose a space or two, if we think that's appropriate.
Thanks, Jeff. Bill, let's open this up to the public. So for members online, if you would like to provide a comment or a question, if you could use the raise hand feature, or simply turn on your video and raise your hand. We'll call on you one at a time. And while members online are doing that, I'll turn it to here in town hall if any members would like to provide a public comment here tonight.
That, you want me to wait online?
Yeah, just wait. Anyone want to provide some input tonight? Can two women if you want. Yes, sir. Would you like to provide a comment?
I stand to.
You can just identify yourself for the record and you can provide a comment if you want.
All right, so I'm Mario Damiano. Retired National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Highway Safety Specialist. We're in the process of forming a road safety task force in the direction of the town administrator. I think it's a great first step, but I thought all of your questions circulated around the multiple users, bikes, pedestrians, ADA compliant issues. So, I mean, as a great first swipe at this, pretty good, but it's essentially a parking study, creative ideas for expanding sidewalks. Because I noticed every time we talked about other users in this space, you were sort of just providing ad hoc answers, which is fine. And this is a good, a good first step, but I really wish up front that there had been more attention paid to pedestrian needs, multiple user needs, access needs. Clearly, somebody in the process didn't emphasize that enough. So that's point one. Point two, your traffic volume data is a little bit dated. So I think I saw 2019. We're talking 6 years ago. Traffic volume in the city has probably significantly increased at some level. And I think that might help a little bit with some of the alternative designs to know that. The other point about traffic volume, I'll be brief, would be to try to disaggregate that data if you can. you really have no idea how many commercial vehicles are coming down that street, what percentage of that traffic volume demands full speed. I mean, I know it was nice that you contacted the fire department and that's good. But commercial vehicles are perhaps form a major portion of that volume going down that street. So I think to have that data would be very valuable. So just leave it at that. And the last point, I thought I saw an option there to eliminate that circle around Mason. I would be very careful with regard to creating more opportunities for conflict between the intersections, create conflict by definition, right? And that's why roundabouts are essentially recommended by both Federal Highway Administration, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. That is not technically a roundabout, but it does attempt, and it's, you know, good with good intent, try to eliminate conflict between pedestrians, vehicles, and vehicles to vehicles. So I would be very cautious about totally eliminating that, or certainly taking a second look at it and looking at the safety risks. And then finally, my last point about pedestrian safety is, yeah, you did capture crash data as reported by the police department, and they are very low, fortunately they are. What we don't have in Maynard, however, is the number of near misses that take place every day on the city streets. That it's not required to be collected by anybody. But again, knowing what the risk factors are for both pedestrians, bicyclists, vulnerable users, certainly at mid-block crossings would be nice to know. Hopefully the road safety committee can come in and maybe complement some of this data for you. We are going to be doing an intersection audit fairly soon. The top 5 crash intersections in town. And obviously that data is going to be made available to the planning board and everybody else in town who's interested in looking at it. So look forward to making further contributions both to the planning board as well as the big engineer. Thanks.
Thank you. I'm sure Bill Menzer will take you up on all those offers. For support. Just speaking on behalf of the data and their work, I think they would fully agree with you that some of the data is old. You know, this was a limited feasibility study just to get things started, of course, and so obviously, you know, the intent is, I'm sure, clearly to get updated data as time goes on.
Yeah,
But this was
limited
just,
funding to do the studies. They're absolutely right. Everything's done.
but that doesn't take
Wasn't
away.
meant to be a criticism.
Oh, no. Yeah, just providing context for everyone here. Also, all of that, I think everyone would fully agree with, that those are sort of the needs that I think everyone would see. So thank you for that.
The only thing I'd add was that a lot of these points that you brought out here, I agree with totally. However, the one other thing I'd say is when we established the groundwork for the study, it was input that had been collected over the last, let's say, 10 to 11 years. So some of the things that seemed like they would be, okay, why are they doing this? It'd be something we can talk offline about.
Sure.
There's a lot of it is a result of input that I've received, you know, that people have been adamant about. So, but I'd be happy to speak in.
Look forward to it.
We do have some.
Yeah, Wayne?
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just for the record, Wayne Amico, town engineer. I think the town planner and Beta have done a great job looking at some alternatives. I do support this. I think you know, potentially wider sidewalks and increased area for pedestrians to use outdoor dining. I think it's a great thing for the town. We should continue to explore this. A couple of things just on first view to think about. I'm a little concerned with reconfiguring the Nason Street intersection. I think if we narrow that up, and I understand why we would want to do it for increased pedestrian use, but I think it may be difficult for delivery trucks to take that turn to access the downtown, at least larger ones. So something to think about going forward. I do endorse as many new trees as we can get. I think it could be a little challenging with some of the underground utilities that are there, because nobody realizes it, but they were all put underground years ago, right? So they're in the way, they're right under those sidewalks. So I think trees can be there, they may have to be staggered a little bit. It may not look like the ideal iconic you know, boulevard where you've got wide sidewalks and all trees in one row. We may have to stagger them depending on what the utilities are, but that wouldn't be the worst thing either. That would be maybe, you know, maybe very good overall. I'm kind of split. I think that the town, and the group should give a lot more thought, because I'm kind of split on whether parking is better on one side or better on both sides. I see advantages to both of them. I feel myself that, if there's a way to make it work on one side, which is, to the point that Jeff was making to answer Bill's question, it's kind of advantageous for one side of the block, but maybe not as advantageous for the other, right? I'm kind of split on that, right? It feels like if you could make one sidewalk significantly wider, it would create more of a pedestrian avenue. But is that being fair to the other businesses on the other side? I don't know. I think the town needs to give it some more thought, but I think there's benefits to both. And I think this is a great first start, and I kind of applaud the efforts.
Wayne, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Does DPW support the idea of raised crosswalks?
For pedestrian safety, they are good. They can be, a maintenance headache.
Yeah.
Okay, if they're done correctly and it's more of a table where it's very gradual, it can be conducive and not as bad.
Okay.
I've seen them installed in many communities, and you need to have, not that anybody really wants any more signage downtown, right? But you need adequate signage, right? So people realize they're there.
Yeah.
Right? And it needs to be gradual so that people don't have to stop, and so you don't have scuffed up asphalt from people hitting them at 27 miles an hour,
Right.
right? And banging their bumper or their undercarriage on that asphalt, right? But there is a benefit, personally, I think if you had wider sidewalks and you're able to the point that Bill was making about pedestrian and handicap access, you're able to have wider, pedestrian, ramp crossing areas. I don't really think it's that big a deal to have them come down 6 inches off the curb and cross, as long as there's adequate signage. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of like parking on one side, because you don't have that dual visibility. We do a lot of designs where we put bump outs at pedestrian crossings, right? It's where the curb comes out, so,
Yeah.
and that's intentional, so as the person walks out, they're beyond the parked vehicle so they can see.
Yes.
That's certainly an option that could be considered as one of these alternatives as well. So I'm kind of mixed on the raised crossings. I mean, there's an advantage in certain situations. I don't know if I'd want 3 of them on this 1,200-foot corridor. I think if I had my choice, I'd rather just have regular crosswalks with maybe bump outs or additional signage or something like that, personally.
Okay.
Bill, let's turn on to the members online. I'll just call in some, okay. I'll call in some folks individually. Craig A., would you mind unmuting yourself and providing comments?
Yes, thank you so much. Yeah, my name is Craig Altimos. I live on Garfield Avenue behind the Jiffy Lube. And yeah, I just want to name, I'm someone who definitely uses these sidewalks a lot. Again, we live very close to the downtown. My kids have their daycare downtown. We walk to the restaurants. We walked through downtown to get to the farmer's market. And so a lot of this is really exciting to me. I will say we also bike through the downtown, and it would be even more exciting to me if there was consideration for more consideration for how bicyclists can safely pass through here, particularly as I think of my kids right now are 2 and 4, and they ride little Strider bikes on the sidewalk. But as they get bigger, they're and I see other kids riding their bicycles both on the road and on the sidewalk. And I did see one near miss as a data point where a kid almost got killed by a car. He just millisecond difference there could have made a very big difference. Thank God it was in the right way for him. But yeah, so I guess I also just want to name, like, my understanding, best practices, you want to measure twice, cut once. And it seems like the trend is toward having bike lanes, and that, we have this Powder Mill Road corridor that we're trying to do as a town with Acton and West Concord, to make that whole corridor, basically, as I understand it, to ultimately connect the Bruce Freeman Trail with our Asset River Trail here. And I think that vision to me is really exciting. We also do walk in that direction to the co-op. but having just investing more in that bicycle infrastructure, I do think bicycles do tend to, they're more likely than cars to stop at a local business because they're going slower, they see more, they're already exposed to the air, and so it's much easier for a bike to just pull over and say, oh, I'm going to check out this restaurant, I'm going to check out this shop, than it is for a car to pull over and say, I'm going to check out this restaurant, I'm going to check out this shop. So I do think in terms of growing business for our local businesses, investing in bike infrastructure so that people can ride their bike from the South Acton commuter rail and come easily into the downtown in a safe manner. I think we would get more business, I think, than ignoring the bicyclists. So just would really encourage if there's space for us to think about what would that look like to invest in the bicycle more. Thank you.
Thanks, Greg. Alana?
Hi. First of all, thank you for this. This is really exciting stuff. I would say I did have a little, and this is maybe completely emotional reaction, so it may be not worth much, but getting rid of the island at the Nason and Main, just thinking about how we use that for signage, how we decorate it, how we use it, people hang out there when it's the parade. That's kind of a spot in Maynard right now. And so I think you might get some pushback if people see that getting removed. I have a pretty negative reaction to the parking, sorry, what's it called? Not the parallel, the other one. Where you're pulling in, particularly I'm just thinking for some of those businesses, I'm thinking of a lot of them that have a lot of window front. You're going to have in the evening, if you're in, the pizza place, you're going to have cars with their lights on flashing in as they're parking and leaving. So I don't know. And also I just feel like people backing out is just asking for issues. It just seems like with parallel parking, you have much better line of sight when you're pulling in and out of these spots, particularly out of the spots. I'm just really worried about that change. But I know this is very early and I think this is really great work. And I am on board with raised crosswalks. It's what all the best walking cities in Europe have. You make the cars move up and down, not the people. It's safer. I know it might be a hassle for the DPW. I'm certain there's ways to make it better for them with engineering, but I'm perfectly happy with adding raised crosswalks. So thank you everybody for your work on this.
Thanks, Alana. Any other members of the public online?
One.
Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Hi everyone. So I'm a member of the new road safety task force. So I have a vested interest in that, as well as parking and overall benefits for the town and for the businesses. One thing that I've observed just frequenting the businesses, like on a school half day, for instance, for those who have school age kids and those who are taking like their kids to school, just stopping for coffee, is the type of people that I see, like just using the sidewalks. So for instance, like there's always people out walking dogs. There's definitely people with strollers walking dogs or just pushing strollers. So I'm thinking of those with younger kids. But also I kind of noticed like a conflict, and maybe this supports larger sidewalks and maybe also bike lanes, is there's people on scooters, motorized scooters. And I know that's like a very great area for everyone in the country right now. How should they be used? Like, what are the minimum speeds that they should be going? But it definitely creates some uncertainty of where they should be, and do they have like a place where just like creating some predictable patterns. So I think that, overall would probably be supported with like bike lanes, and I'm just thinking of that. And it's not just like adults, it's like commuting, it's also like students and people going to work. So I think that's just something worth noting as well. Just there is a huge variety of people that use the sidewalks and traveling to and from there. And I think that's something we should consider for the future.
Thank you, Sarah. Any other members online that would like to contribute? Or in the room? Go.
Linda Thayer, 14 Chandler Street, thank you. I appreciate all the work that's been done on this, and it's really a great starting point. I just two general, well, one question is there an idea of how long a project like this would take, given the length, you know, just the length of that particular space? Is there just a general concept of time?
It's a good question. Bill, do you want to answer that or do you want to kick it to Jeff?
I start with Jeff and Wayne would probably be a better, but I mean, offhand, I'd say it depended on the phase and, you know, on how. On the funding availability would probably dictate a lot of that too. Jeff, you've probably done more of these, you and Wayne, it could probably.
Yeah, hard to say now, like, it's always in the details if we're talking about, you know, utilities or, you know, underground utilities and drainage and so forth. So, you know, depending how you phase it. It's, you know, if you can do it, if you get lucky, you could do it in one construction season. But depending on the information we don't know, it could be two, you know, construction seasons.
So what's a construction season?
Um,
Okay, April to November.
yeah.
That's what Wayne said, so we'll go with that.
Plus or minus.
Wayne,
Yeah.
can I ask Wayne a question, sure? The infrastructure, the underground infrastructure currently along Main Street is ready to be replaced pretty soon, is it most of it?
I don't know, Bill. I mean, I'm not aware that, right, electric, telecom, all that stuff was placed underground years ago. Drainage is probably fine. It needs to, obviously, if the curb line's moved, you're gonna have to move some drainage or expand drainage and so forth, but I don't know if the underground infrastructure needs to be replaced or not.
I guess the point I'd ask is if it's going to be, if something does need to be replaced. Regardless of whether the sidewalks are done, I mean, that would be the bulk of the time, wouldn't it? The infrastructure.
So my gut feeling that if you guys pursue a project to, let's make it up. Widen to the point Bill made, widen one sidewalk by a certain amount, right? I don't think that would you'd be predisposed to replace, I'm gonna make this up too, water and sewer lines. There'd be no reason to do that. I mean, I know the sewer line is extremely deep on Main Street, so that's not gonna be replaced unless it needs to be replaced. That's a project, you know, in itself. So I don't think the utilities are a driving factor to widening sidewalks. I guess that's my answer. I hope that answers it anyhow.
All right.
Can I ask another
Yes,
question?
yeah.
Thank you. Is there a recommended speed limit for something like that, the stretch that's currently on Main Street? So that 1,200 or whatever the footage was.
So Jeff, for those designs, what's the recommended speed limit for those designs, concepts?
So it's you know, it's regulated at 25 now. So the raised crosswalks, you know, depending on the design and, you know, how high and long they are, they'd either be designed for, you know, 15 or 20, you know, 20 miles an hour. So if we have a higher, more abrupt crosswalk, the speed would be lower towards 15. If it's a little longer and lower, it'd be closer to 20. So 20 is really kind of the key for pedestrians. When you have when pedestrians are struck, you know, unfortunately, but if it happens, you tend to survive at 20 miles an hour and lower. Above 20, you know, the severity rate goes up. So that's why we like to design, you know, kind of 15, 20 miles an hour in that range.
Can we achieve 20 miles an hour without raising the crosswalks, just by narrowing the roads?
Doubtful for the entire quarter, maybe in spots, but you know, I don't the more elements you add to it, the the more impact you're going to have on reducing speed. So narrowing the roads are great. Bump outs are great. Raised crosswalks are just another additional element.
Jeff, you heard comments and questions tonight, so any final thoughts from your team?
Yeah, so like we said, it's a first stage planning, kind of feasibility study. And I think there's a great opportunity here, and there's a lot of great questions and comments. We didn't have the opportunity to address some of that because of our limited the scope and budget for this project. But going forward, I think a lot of those questions have to be addressed and discussed with the town. There's trade-offs on all these things, but I guess the bottom line is it looks like it's doable to us, and just have to continue the conversation and what you think the alignment should be for the roadway.
Thanks, Jeff and your team, for tonight. Bill Nemser, what are next steps?
Well, next steps, we're going to, first of all, we're gonna create a dedicated project page for this, so we're gonna archive everything so the public can access it. Including, we'll use this presentation, with the tape of the presentation. At that point, then we have to probably look at, narrowing down what the, consensus would be if, I look at it as like a menu, what elements from these proposals or other proposals would we want? And I think placing them in a sort of order of, like, for example, sidewalk width. Let's talk about sidewalk width or the parking. Mario mentioned about, why is parking, is it a parking study? Well, it is kind of a parking study too. Because it's a big concern with, on Main Street Park, we've been bandying that around, so. I think arriving at a consensus on some of the concepts so that it can be reached and you move on rather than reinventing each component every time, you have a little change of scenery or something like that. So I would think that it would be something that this board would be an ideal forum for it, and letting see if maybe there's an opportunity for another grant that goes a little further in. Certainly updating, as Mario pointed out, we would have loved to do a brand new traffic study. And just didn't, we couldn't do that in the budget right now, but that would be something, maybe an updated grant. And if we have a roadway committee, safety committee, and they're available to help and participate with some of this, there's plenty of grant opportunities where we could look and get a thorough in-depth roadway study. I am intrigued also about I don't remember who said it, but about the idea of having a study where we know who's using the roads, what kind of vehicles is it? Are they commercial vehicles, this type of thing? I'm also, we're back with bicycles again, which is a tough one, because, we did do a complete streets pilot project. And, it's something maybe we should revisit again, because we had some mixed results downtown, so I'd like to explore, but I think, to answer your question, I'd like to divide it up into components. Make determinations of, what the community wants and what's practical. And then put each component to bed, rather than trying to do it all in one swoop and have this overarching thing. We're not gonna have the funds to do it for a while, so I mean, we could have the plan ready to go and figure if it's parallel parking or if it's angled parking, or if anything like that. I think that would be the way to bring us forward.
All right, thanks, Bill. One of the benefits of being chair is that I get to have the final word, so I'll do that. I would like to see accessibility more on the front of this. That includes all versions of accessibility, so, pedestrian, bicyclists, but also all considerations for folks with less mobility. I think our considerations need to widen too, in terms of our connectivity to other points. We have the the bike path, for example. So I think our consideration of bicycle access needs to obviously connect to that. Craig, I believe Craig made a good point about how this connects to the Powder Mill Corridor Initiative as well. All those things need to be considered. And that's my final thought, unless there's any other board members that would like to provide their final feedback.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed on the Powder Mill Road pedestrian study that we asked, I mean pedestrian engineering and bicycle engineering grant that we've written. We're gonna find out if we qualify for that, and this possibility we have engineering plans at this time next year. We've requested it, so that'd be great. It'd work, it'd be a nice segue here.
Oh, and then finally, I think I can speak for the planning board on this. We fully support cutting the heads off of all the parking meters in the downtown. So, thank you everyone for joining tonight. Thank you all for all the members online. Thank you for the members of the Road Safety Committee. I urge you to connect with Bill Nemser and collaborate more. So thank you, everyone. And thank you, Jeff, Srilaka, and Seth for your time tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Welcome.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
All right, so for all members online, our meeting will continue on other topics, but that will end the presentation and the discussion on the road diet program. All right, Bill,
Yeah.
do you want to turn to item 3? This would be the public hearing for 1 Summer Street.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure we're not sharing, so.
You're not sharing, so.
Okay.
All right, I will, are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Yes.
I will reopen or continue the hearing for the public hearing for 1 Summer Street. This is a continuation from September 9th, 2025. And I believe at that time, we had some parting discussions on simply tying the bows on a few items and crossing the T's, as you will, which is not always my favorite expression, but it's a good one. You don't leave them loose here, time.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I uploaded all the documents that came in today, the last stuff too, and I printed.
Great.
All of you, the most recent comments and responses, as well as the list of waivers, that I checked with all.
Great.
That's where these list of waivers we have.
Yeah. As I reviewed the engineering review sheet, I see that all comments have been closed. Is that your understanding too?
Yeah, and we got an email from Jim Thorne this afternoon.
Yes, they happen.
Exactly that, yes, so there was a comment that came in late yesterday. We're responding to our responses from last week. We closed that up this morning, so we are late.
Great, and the other topic we had was about the fire department providing feedback on the project. Did we receive that?
It's satisfactory, everything will be taken care of, that building permit phase and everything else. You connect, and Jimmy went and met with the fire chief after as well.
Great, thank you. So Bill Nemser, what is pending at this time? Topically.
Well, what is pending in terms of what's the action for the board?
What actions, well, is there anything that we need to further review? Are there any?
I had some questions from my notes from last time, just a little stuff to clean up, that I had some questions, which I just have a few things to answer. We did get some, DPW sent some conditions along, which I sent, which are, you saw those, and Wayne here, if you have any question about, there's 3 or 4 of those, they don't make sense.
Yeah, they're all as expected.
Okay, the waivers, I just want to make sure we're right on it, because I have number 3, so maybe we'll go through those. But, we agreed that, the board was satisfied that the cultural district, downtown overlay district. The benefit to downtown walkability, in addition to the museum and the terms that are already established in the, purchase and sale agreement for free access for residents and contributions of out-of-town residents to the cultural district, or met part of that. And because the parking, the additional parking spots that was determined, they were not suitable in that spot. That a $5,000 donation to the downtown enhancement fund would satisfy that area of the special permit. So if that, I did have a question, I made an asterisk there, I don't, we said something about trash enclosures, and I put a question mark next to it, I don't know what. We that came up the last one, we were gonna put the enclosure, right?
Yes. Yeah, so there's been an enclosure on the plan. One of Green's comments was related to how's the trash pickup gonna work? We responded to that comment.
Okay,
They agreed with us.
okay, and no, there's not gonna be a dry well on this.
Correct, yeah, and we did receive our waiver from the
And,
Conservation Commission.
and that's the last comment, that's the last question I had for my stuff. So if the board is inclined to close the hearing, what they would do after their deliberations, we would want to review the special permit criteria, the standard special permit criteria, which I think was pretty much spelled out in the application originally. Downtown criteria, we just want to establish that there's consistency with the proposed settlement. And then a site plan approval with the waivers, and we want to go over the waivers individually. So basically, special permit, both types, waivers, and site plan. Site plan was limited scope because this is an existing building. And the design review, design was already approved with by town meeting, everything is, so it was very truncated with site plan.
Right, can we, just for the record tonight, we just briefly cover the waivers again?
And I'm sorry?
Can you briefly go through the list of waivers again,
Yeah, I'm gonna make sure.
so that everyone's aware of what they're.
Yeah. This is number 3, September 3rd.
That is correct.
And then, Bill, after that, I'm going to open it back up for public comments, and if there's any final comments on this project.
All right, you want?
Yeah, we go
You
through the
want that,
waivers.
Ron?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Sure.
and then if there's a way to share screen while you're doing it, that would be.
Yeah.
Beneficial.
Yeah, use your scroller.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna be down. Okay.
And share right at Zoom
Oh,
and.
yeah, they got a lot of, yeah, all right.
The board is used to my prowess on this.
Bill, you do great.
That's how it's done, Paul. Except.
Thanks.
Really impressed, Bill.
So I'll go through the waiver requests, so, first couple are from the planning board rules and regs, section C6. Show the location of all existing drainage within 500 feet of the property. We requested a waiver to that. We don't have any outfalls proposed, we're reducing impervious coverage, so we're gonna lessen the burden on the town drainage system. So we feel, providing all that context isn't really necessary for this particular project. Section D4, requirement that a traffic circulation impact study, be provided. We saw the waiver, because, you know, there's 8 parking units proposed here, only 10 parking spaces, so impacts on adjacent traffic is expected to be minimal. Next few comments are from, or sorry, waiver requests are from the zoning bylaw. The requirement that interior driveways be no less than 20 feet wide for 2-way traffic and 14 feet wide for 1-way traffic. It's also the requirement that a stacking area is provided between 25 and 50 feet long. Obviously, stacking area is straightforward here, take up the entire site if we provided a 50-foot long area there. So we requested a waiver, and then also, you know, regarding interior driveway width. We requested a waiver because we're trying to maximize the number of spaces provided on the site, as we have discussed at previous meetings. Next waiver request, similar reasoning, the maneuvering aisle width requirement 24 feet for 90-degree, two-way parking, 18 feet for. Parallel parking on two-way driveways, the minimum proposed is 14.5 feet. For the, one of the parallel parking spaces. And, the aisle width is about 20 feet wide for a couple of the
You mind scrolling?
90-degree spaces, yes, sorry.
Thanks.
So again, we're trying to maximize the number of spaces provided on site, so we have requested waivers to the aisle, with requirements there. Section 6.1.12 regarding dimensions of handicap parking spaces, so the zoning bylaw requires spaces that are 20 feet by 12 feet. We've provided more of an ADA standard 18 by 8 with an 8-foot wide accessible aisle adjacent to it. So this does meet the requirements 521 CMR, so we feel that the waiver is appropriate. 6.1.14. We requested a waiver. This section is related to the physical construction of access driveways, so requires a 9-inch gravel base with bituminous concrete pavement. On top of it, as we've talked about, we do have pervious pavers proposed, so we can't provide those pavers for the driveway and meet the requirements of the bylaw here, so we have requested a waiver. Section 9.4.9, this is related to the number of parking spaces provided. We are providing 10 spaces on site, where based on the use and the zoning district, 18 are required. So that's a reduction of 8 total parking spaces. I have provided some context in this waiver request letter here about how, using section 6.1 table C of the zoning bylaw, the parking requirement would actually be less for the residential units. And furthermore, the museum spaces is not expected to demand much parking. And, also, I think that a lot of the visitors to the museum, it's probably just gonna be one stop of a couple if they're visiting downtown Maynard. Hopefully it is, and maybe waiving the parking requirement will encourage them to make other stops in downtown Maynard. So I do think the waiver of that requirement really helps this project, better accomplish what it's aiming to. So we have requested that waiver. And that is it.
Let's go to the board. I know I said I was gonna open public comments, but let's go to the board. Any comments on the engineer review? Any comments on waivers, or any final comments on or questions on the project? None? Anyone want a minute? Bill, let's open this up for public comment.
Okay.
So members in the room, obviously, just raise your hand, we'll comment one at a time. If there's members of the community online that would like to enter a public comment on this project, please use the raise hand feature. Or simply turn on your video camera and raise your hand, and we'll call on you one at a time. And Bill, I'm not seeing any public comments yet. We'll allow public comment period to remain open just in case. So Bill, do you have any? Yes, please, go ahead.
Sorry, Linda Thayer, 14 Chandler Street. I don't know, I'm coming into this very late and just curious, and I can't even recall what the sidewalk is like in that area. Is there any, are you doing anything for that? Is anything being done?
Would you like to describe the improvements?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the intersection between Acton Street and Summer Street, that rounding right there where the light is, that will remain, but the rest is being rebuilt. So the straight sidewalk length on Acton Street and on Summer Street will both be rebuilt as part of this. We're also proposing an adjustment to the crosswalk. Right now, it's sort of at an angle and heads towards the overhead door on the Acton Street side. we're proposing to square that up, so it's a shorter run between and rebuild the curb cuts on either end of that
Great,
crosswalk.
thank you. Is the surface, regular concrete surface for the sidewalk?
Yes.
Great, thank you, thank you.
And that will be built in accordance with town DPW specifications.
Thank you.
And that reminds me, we did discuss having a figure showing what exactly was gonna be rebuilt. Did we ever prepare that?
Yeah, so that's provided on the site development
Great.
plan sheet. It's tried to make it as clear as possible, begin sidewalk reconstruction and sidewalk reconstruction. If I could, there's two things that if I haven't mentioned yet. We did have the bollard behind one of the parking spaces, that the parallel space that, you know, the rear of your car would be close to the sidewalks. We are proposing a bollard there, as requested at the last meeting. Also, and I'm afraid that this might lead to some confusion, but I was trying to avoid confusion by renumbering parking spaces. So we initially had spaces 1 through 4 on the street and 5 through 14 on the site. And when I was looking at the plan today, I said, well, we start with space 5, which is probably gonna confuse me in 2 years when I'm looking at this again.
It confused me when I was
Right. So I renumbered them 1 through 10. Now I've been thinking now. You're looking at these old letters and it's referencing different spaces that might get a little bit confusing. If you need me to prepare a memo or something, I can, but
You know,
At the
here's,
same time.
here's what you do.
Yeah.
You put a note on one of the site drawings
mhm.
that explains,
Oh, formerly space, whatever.
maybe that might be the easiest. If you
Yeah,
want, you're welcome to prepare a memo to
yeah.
eliminate confusion.
I don't wanna make it too confusing. I'm more providing this for the boards. When you're looking at the plan, nothing changed other than the space number. You know, we have
Wayne-
maneuvering details on
Wayne,
different.
any advice?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, let me retract my statement that I made earlier. I was initially confused, and then I looked at it and I asked Bill a question, Bill Nemser, and then I'm like, okay, I get it, there's 10 spaces. I personally don't think anything needs to be done, but it's the applicant and the board's decision.
What matters is the final design submittal. That's what stays in perpetuity, so the only thing that matters is if one wants to go look back on the meeting minutes and watch the videos and try to connect all the dots. You're welcome to add something. I would keep it very minimal and brief if that's what you choose.
Probably just send Bill an email saying we changed it. So.
I think an email can be put into the public record, isn't it? Just to be clear.
So there was something he brought up that, then I have a question on this.
Go ahead.
Thanks. The bollard proposes a 4x4 wood breakaway. What's the thinking there? Cause the purpose is to protect the pedestrians on the sidewalk, so. What's the deal with the breakaway wood?
Really the idea was to. Keep it simple. Bollard is proposed to prevent. A driver from backing straight into the sidewalk and hitting a pedestrian. They're certainly going to feel it if they hit this breakaway bollard. So we do think that it is appropriate for this particular application. It's different than sort of like a gas meter where if you crash into it, you're gonna have a large problem. Of course, you have a huge problem if you crash into a pedestrian, but this is somebody pulling out of a parking spot, so they're gonna be moving at a lower rate of speed. Some more substantial. I don't think is necessary.
And peer review and town engineer are good on that?
I don't know if the town engineer can comment since it's private property.
Yeah, I don't have any comment.
It's protecting a public sidewalk.
Yeah.
Well,
If
it's
anything is, sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
If anything is placed to prevent the bumper overhang from hanging on the sidewalk, that's a benefit to the town, whatever the board decides. I mean, I don't know personally if I would propose a wooden bollard. I understand Mr. Grancho's comment, but anything, if there was a chain link fence, it would be something. So whatever the board decides is appropriate.
I would like to see something more permanent. I don't want to see this thing broken in a year or two and just non-existent anymore.
How about a huge, excuse me, James, James McDonald, Development, a huge boulder? Hold it.
Sure.
Looks kind of cute and.
If you got the room for it.
It,
You can get it long and
if it
a
meets the
little bit narrow.
criteria,
Yeah, I just want something that a little more substantial, that's not, yeah.
It's a 4x4.
um. How do you want to handle this? It's either. It's either make a change,
Granite block. 16 by 20. 6 feet long. Car's not gonna drive over that.
but tell you what, we'll condition it that, as long as, Bill Crenshaw approves it. How about that? They did that last time.
Start this.
Well, it's your comment. Do you want to approve it?
Sure, I'll approve it.
Okay. We'll have one of the planning board members approve it.
Okay, so Chris, that's your baby.
I dug this hole.
Is it a hole for a bollard, Chris?
Yeah, well, yes.
Is that fair? We'll just condition it.
Yep.
Okay. I'll add that as a condition.
All right, anything else? That's it. Bill, I was looking at the materials online. I have the drawings at a date of May 20th, but that doesn't sound right at all. What's the, for the motions and stuff, I need the actual date of the final site plans.
December 23rd.
Well, this is September 23rd, which is the one on.
Oh, I'm an idiot, I'm not looking at the revisions. Yes, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, but if you could just clear it up before we do anything, I misunderstood, are you gonna, for the numbering of the parking spaces, you're gonna revise it or just send,
I
as a board?
don't wanna revise it, I'll just send you an email so that there's something in the record that acknowledges we changed it. I only felt it was important to know,
No, I
because somebody's looking at this later and said, okay, the board had a question about this parking space.
Okay.
That
Like
doesn't,
number 14 doesn't even exist.
exactly.
So you'll just send me, I'm gonna make a condition, you'll provide an update for
Yeah.
the record, I'll put it as an exhibit. Cause with the exhibit, we're gonna put all the other stuff, well,
Okay.
exhibit too, so I'll put,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put the waiver list. And then I'll put the purchase and sale, all that stuff, so we'll add as exhibit.
And if you could just show me what sheet has the sidewalk improvements shown on it?
Yeah, it's sheet 4.
Good.
Yeah, so there are details on the right side and up at the top of the page, so. It is identified in the plans, but the details actually, you know, where it's begin and sidewalk reconstruction, spot grades all over the place, so.
Okay. And this shows the basically limit of work.
Yeah.
For the public sidewalk improvements.
Yeah, we also,
I just wanna make sure that you guys get credit for. You know, what will be improved in the records.
yeah, of course, the other thing I'd like to mention is Green made a comment about. Providing a demo plan, so that's now sheet 3 of the plan set, and it shows where we're removing concrete sidewalk, so that'll help. Identify, you know, where we're rebuilding.
Great, thank you. Is that good, Wayne?
Yeah.
That satisfies what we're looking for?
No, they addressed our comments a while ago relative to the sidewalk improvements, so thank you.
All right, anything else, Bill?
No. I think that, do you want me to run through what I have for
Conditions?
and things?
We can talk about conditions after we close the
Okay,
hearing.
right, yeah,
I
yeah.
think.
There's something else, and the bollard, we'll keep this condition, request, and that other thing else is, sent.
Before we close, is there any final information you'd like to provide for this hearing?
Good.
Any final thoughts? No, good. Planning board members? All right, I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second that.
All in favor to close the hearing, please raise your hand. 5-0 to close the hearing. Bill, do you want to run through proposed conditions?
Those conditions I have. That's another minute, other than anywhere, we would, include, the, $5,000 for the, downtown development fund. The conditions, that, DPW has provided, which I can read if the board wants. They're, provided to me that, if the board cares, I have 3 from DPW, which are kind of. Minor read. All utility work, pavement work, sidewalk work, accessible curb ramp, and any other work conducted in the public street layout shall be done in coordination with DPW. Set number 2, crosswalk relocation on active street shall be done in coordination with DPW. Pavement marking, removal, installation shall be approved by DPW. And then lastly, the town traffic control cabinet. Located on the southern end of the property within an easement granted to the town should be protected at all times. During on-site building reconstruction to avoid damages or impact to the control cabinet. It's very straightforward to them. The next condition would be that the applicant is going to provide a letter to clarify, which will be entered as an exhibit to clarify the renumbering of the parking spaces. And the last is the bollard shall be approved by the planning board or their designate, which would be one Chris Klein. And then we have the waivers and letters, which we would enter as an exhibit as requested. We covered that, had everything you wanted in the waivers. And so again, what the board would be looking to do is to put the special permit with both criteria, waivers as requested, and the limited site plan review and approval.
Okay. Any discussion on this? Okay. This is the tough one, so I'll try to do the motion.
Thanks, man.
You want me to do it? No? Mark?
Oh, yes, please.
I'll remind you to breathe.
All right, I'll make a motion to find that the application meets the special permit criteria of sections 9.4.8 and 10.4. That includes the following conditions that have already been discussed, but I will put into the motion. A $5,000 donation to the Downtown Enhancement Fund before certificate of occupancy. Okay, before CO, okay. The DPW conditions that were provided in writing and listed, they were provided in writing. Okay. An email letter from the applicant that clarifies changing the numbering of the parking spaces on the plans compared from the original plans to the final plan set. And that a bollard replacement on the site plans will be proposed by applicants and approved by a designee of the planning board before installation. And the installation needs to be completed before CO. Good, Bill? And then the second part of this motion is to approve the site plans dated September 23rd, 2025, and presented during this hearing, which includes the list of waivers that I have a date on of September 3rd, 2025.
Yes, the September 23rd, 2025 is the final revision date.
Yep, of the final revision date of the waivers that were discussed tonight and presented by the applicant.
Waiver letters the 3rd, plan is the 23rd.
Yes, that's what I motioned, is the waiver letter for September 23rd, 2025.
I'll second that.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
It was really well done.
Oh, thank you. All in favor, please raise your hand. That's 5-0 for approval of the motion, which includes the special permit
Findings.
and the findings of the special permit and the approval of site plan. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jim.
Have a good night. Actually, in this one.
He'll be back.
Won't be the whole learner.
It already happened. Oh, you can.
I'm gonna make this the strip though. I walked right into that bar.
That's the sheet. What is it?
Oh, right, yeah, let's, yeah. Okay,
We have another public hearing?
we do have a public hearing, I think I can,
All right, I will open up the public hearing for 45 Old Mill Road. Bill, I'll allow you to give a briefing to the board and then we'll turn it over to the applicant.
okay, yeah, this here's what it is. This is a special permit, for 45, the cell tower, to attach another facility to the cell tower at 45 Old Mill Road, the Rod and Gun Club. This is the same tower that, the board, just had a review of about a month and a half ago. Same tower, different fixture on it. This is a 2-year request, which is the maximum that, the cell towers are allowed to. Staff has been through the, material and finds that everything remains in order from the earlier engineering study, and also that the application that the applicant has presented is complete and addresses all the, aspects of the request. Dominica is on, I think, hopefully we get this open for anything. Can you hear me, Dominica?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening.
Oh, great, okay, do you want to share, do you have any need to share the screen, or I have your stuff here too, if you need?
I can share one moment.
Okay, let me get it, folks. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And Dominica, if you could just identify yourself for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Dominica Tadashori and I work for Crown Castle, which owns the cell tower.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are you able to see my screen?
Not yet. Not yet, looks like it's booting up, there we go.
Okay. Okay, very good. So as per the earlier introduction, Crown Castle owns the cell tower located at 45 Old Mill Road. And now Verizon is looking to co-locate at the existing 122-foot telecommunications concealment tower. As you know, telecommunications, co-locations and equipment upgrades are common and desired as technology changes to provide better communications services to residences, businesses, and first responders. With this scope of work, there is no proposed change to either tower height or leased compound size, as all proposed equipment for the co-location will be located within the existing leased compound. Currently on the tower at the top position, which is the 117-foot centerline, is Sprint PCS, which is now owned by T-Mobile. The second position down is vacant. And the third and fourth position is where Verizon is looking to do the co-location. So the third position is the 87-foot centerline, and Verizon is looking to co-locate with 2 antennas at that location. And similarly at the fourth position down at the 87-foot centerline, Verizon is also looking to add 2 antennas as well. So a total of 4 antennas for the co-location total. As you can see from the drawing on the left-hand side where my cursor is, this is the existing tower configuration. The top centerline antenna rad is bumped out, and the remaining 3 below it are not. As you can see, it's a slim pole here. So it's the classic, what we consider a lollipop configuration. With the new co-location, Verizon is looking to bump out the canisters to make it uniform all the way up. So they're proposing 3 canisters at a diameter of 3 feet 6 inches. And there's 3 canister and each is 10 foot long, which represents the 3 center lines that they'll be bumping out. Ground equipment includes, but is not limited to, a new concrete pad to host the equipment for the co-location, a fence around the Verizon equipment within the compound, cabinets, diesel generator with canopy, power and fiber conduits. This application constitutes an eligible facilities request per the FCC's regulations and does not constitute a substantial change to the tower and is a by right federal application. The application materials that were submitted as part of this included the construction drawings, which I have up on the screen, a passing structural analysis report passing at 94.3%, and a compliant radio frequency emissions analysis report cumulative at 5.17%, which is well below the FCC's general population exposure, which is more than 10 times lower than the FCC allowable limits. And I'm here to entertain any questions you may have.
I have 2 questions. Dominique, have you, and I just want to make sure I heard you correctly. The safety studies on radio frequency radiation, that was cumulative for all anticipated equipment that's operating?
Yeah, anticipated and existing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bill, is there any backdating payments from this from what the applicant represents?
No.
So there's nothing.
Everything was, their whole. everything was-
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? None? Any final comments from you, Bill?
No.
I'll open up the public comment. Remember, anyone online, please use the raise hand feature if you'd like to provide a public comment. Bill, just for the record, I'm noting that there is no members of the public present in the room tonight. So there's no one here to provide public comment here. Seeing no public comments. Dominique, anything final to add before we close the hearing?
No, I gave a pretty comprehensive overview, but like I said, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second.
All in favor to close, please raise your hand. 5-0 to close the hearing. Does anyone want to try to make a motion on this?
So good at last one.
Well, I used up all my chips.
Is it a renewal of the special permit, Bill?
This is a new special permit,
Okay,
I believe, am I correct? No, you've never had this. It's a new facility on the existing tower.
Yeah, so if I may, there's, I believe that your town has 2 different ways of handling this. The actual tower itself is the 2-year that you have as a renewal. That's not the same thing as the application before you, which is an eligible facilities request for a co-location. They're 2 separate things. So I believe that staff, I think from the Houston office, does the actual renewals with you. That is specifically pertaining to the tower itself.
thanks. All right, I'll make a motion to approve the special permit application for 45 Old Mill Road to co-locate at an existing telecommunications facility per section 7.5 of our zoning bylaws.
I'll second that. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. That's 5-0 to approve the motion and the special permit to co-locate. Thank you for your time and elegance, Dominique. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening. Thank you.
You have heard of all the presentations?
Yeah. You never called me elegant.
Well, I was intrigued by the presentation of the cell tower.
It's true, it
Because
was
she did
nice.
so good.
I know,
I will call you
I'll try to do better.
next time you present on cell towers.
Natalie was singing before he came in, it sounded elegant.
There you go, yeah,
Is it time for a motion?
about elegant,
Update.
Yes.
you got minutes.
Yeah, okay, planning updates. The big one is last night we went to the FinCom meeting. Oh, don't bail on this one.
See you later.
Running away.
I'm getting a hate this.
Must not be very elegant.
There was, on that particular, on our best item, they had a split vote and it's tied up. They're gonna have another vote. The FinCom to recommend approval or not. When they have a
Battery
full.
thing,
Hmm?
on the battery thing? Oh, the other one, not on the other one.
No, no problems on those. Everything's fine. I did the whole presentation for the PMOD, which they needed, I just did that and they did, I think that helped, it answered all the questions. So here's the question I have, and I want to, Chris comes out, but. Let's just assume, I'm so confused with what people expect with the numbers on the water supply district. But we went to 15. Kilowatts per hour, was it?
Kilowatt hours.
Kilowatt hour, okay. FinCom, 3 of them. Did not vote for it because they felt that it was not enough for 2 vehicles. We explained that this is just to kind of fill in while we get our best bylaw done. But, anyway, long story short. They're gonna re-vote on it. Now, I checked with town council. I said. Can we do? I typically don't like anything on the floor, amendments on the floor of a town meeting. And I don't think Chris does, and I don't know if he's inclined to do it or not, but if there was a number that we arrived at. That was acceptable to FinCom or not, or we don't have to have it approved either. But if there was a number that arrived at, we have the ability to amend it on the floor. We have the ability to yank it if we want to yank it. Now, hold on. Guess what came in today?
And
Request. For a battery. For my Powerwall?
No, this was, and
Did Mark make this request?
yeah. So today, from Eversource, we were doing a small little they're doing their substation, they're making some changes to it. Oh, by the way, we want to put in a BESS. Part of it is in the water management district, part of it is not. I told them, no, as far as we're concerned, once a zoning bylaw is advertised, if it passes, it's retroactive. Now, all they would have to do on this site would be move it to the other end of the site, it would be fine. But so I don't really care about that particular one, but the thing is, I almost fell over when I heard this after our discussion last night. So I guess what I'm asking is, Chris, I don't know if I misunderstood you last night. And I'll, whatever you guys want to do, I'll do. Do you prefer not to do an amendment on the floor?
My comment to the FinCom was that you can't make any changes right now. And that's what they're asking. I said, no, we can't make changes right now,
At that,
before they voted on it.
right.
I said, no, there's no possibility procedurally to do that. I didn't comment on it.
Okay.
Not an amendment on the floor, it's, you're moving it differently.
Well, it's
It's
gonna
not an
be,
amendment on the floor, it's not an amendment.
well, what would it
You just move it, you say,
the language.
motion to approve the article as written with the exception of changing the number 15 to X.
be? Right, okay.
Do we have an X, by the way?
No,
Okay, well, that seems like important, right?
Yeah, but we can come up with that.
but basically, Chris, I said that the gist of it was that they felt that it was too little.
How big was the one Verizon one?
We don't know yet.
No, it's not Verizon, it's Eversource.
We're talking about a public utility. This isn't like
Yeah.
Joe Bob's house trying to like.
No, oh, absolutely.
Trying to survive a storm
No,
outage for.
you're right. You're
I
totally
mean,
right.
I mean, we have the option of adding the word commercial in there or changing the number.
Right, if we had commercial, here's the thing, I asked about the number, I asked legal about the number this morning. They felt that changing the number is perfectly fine, legal wise, no, they don't care about that at all. Changing with commercial might be. But we could always, and, well, no, we can't, we're pretty short time to re-advertise, yeah. So is there? We don't need to make a decision, well, yeah,
Let's just find a number.
Huh? Okay.
I started thinking,
What's wrong with
number?
40?
I misunderstood, no, I wasn't sure what Chris meant last night when we were at the meeting.
I'm fine, so my preference. But everything's up for discussion, but my preference would be to keep this going forward. I do not want to pull this
Oh, okay, well then,
fully.
so we just need to find a number.
So I think that's my preference. I don't know what you guys think. Like,
Yeah,
I guess the
especially if
point-
we have a large system that wants to go into a place where we don't want a large system. I
Yeah.
think we need to have some protections
So
there.
if we can find a number, and if we don't have to technically amend it, we just move it differently and,
Yeah, either way,
when Chris is presenting it, he moves it with the updated language and then.
when Natalie presents it elegantly.
Right.
Yeah.
It's all the time. Okay.
Yeah, that'd be great. All right, so Bill, then what you're saying, okay, Dick Downey asked me what are we gonna, what do we do? What do I tell him we're gonna do? We're gonna move it on the floor with a specific number differently than.
Dick Downey's
Is that
real
right?
person.
How would you do that?
So you guys know.
You're gonna,
Not really, though.
make it, so you're gonna, well, what's the word?
But Natalie's given the.
You're gonna move it, you're not amending it, you're moving it with a number change.
Language change.
Isn't that an amendment?
That's not an amendment.
Well, let's do this. Let's task Bill Nemser
Ah.
with coming up with the proposal.
How about
No.
the on me for Dick Downey?
No, don't put Bill Nemser, that's how we got this.
I mean, all you're doing is changing the number.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
Changing the number 15 to something else, I mean, they do it all the time.
It's
Fine.
nonsense. Make him do it.
Do we have an idea of what FinCom would be comfortable with?
I could find that out, but I.
Because we don't wanna-
Well, we had, actually, I understand that question, and it's a great question. I do not want to defer to FinCom's job is simply to look at it, whether it's financially suitable for the town.
Well, what the hell are they doing having problems with the number then?
Well, they can decide whatever they want.
Yeah, they got,
They're a bunch of nerds and they do whatever they want.
Yeah, so they can vote no on
That
whatever
is
they want. But what I'm not gonna do is allow them to help guide this
So-
unless they come to the
This
hearing.
is just their recommendation.
Well, it was
Yeah.
just their discussion.
No, I know, but like, it's to recommend or to not
Yes,
recommend.
yes,
public
exactly.
meeting.
That's correct, yeah.
So.
Yeah. So we don't need it.
Nah.
No, you don't need it.
Yeah, we don't need it.
But Chris, is there like, I don't have, and I'm just asking, if we've.
Why don't we just add a zero?
Chris had also expressed concerns about it not being enough.
You don't want it too high
Yeah, that's too much.
for commercial, because commercial might like.
I will consult my
Okay.
consultant, will be.
We'll do this.
Okay, so can,
Me,
it doesn't need to be more than 50,
yeah, me,
that'd be super a lot.
yeah, so me, you and Chris will come up with a number and present it during the next.
Chris
Planning
has so much work this week.
okay, can I tell, yeah,
I mean, for context, right? I think
Has it been?
I think my wife's car is something on the order of like 82 kilowatt hours. Okay, that's a lot. Moving a car takes a lot of energy. So to like power a few lights,
But we're not talking about that, we're talking about batteries.
no, I know, but the
Not talking about
the
a plug-in.
concern of FinCom was it's not enough to charge two cars.
Well, they're wrong on that because that proposed bylaw is about distribution back to the
Grid.
grid. So it's not about cars. So we corrected them on that.
Okay.
But one member did bring up that one of these home battery storage systems could be 25 kilowatt hours.
That is super big one.
Right. Right, could be, that's the thing. It
Is
could be
25
up to 25
super big?
kilowatt hours.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's, I mean, most of them are less, all the Teslas are less than that,
right.
90% of them are less. than
Right, that's what we looked at. But if we raised it up so that.
Yeah.
It covers the higher end of a home battery, I think that's fine.
Well, okay, so if we can work together off online or something about a number, Bill, I gotta tell Dick Downey, when I tell him we're gonna, he
Has
wants
the
to,
warrant been printed yet?
no. It's printed today, oh, actually today, I think, today or tomorrow.
Alright, doesn't really matter, it's so simple.
But what?
I mean, it's just gonna be moved with a number change, that's all.
So I just tell him that we're gonna amend the warrant, but we're not amending the warrant,
We're not, don't use the word amend,
okay?
it's gonna be moved with a change. The number 15 is gonna be changed to the number.
Okay.
50.
Yeah, we'll say 50 for now.
I think it should be 50 from my brief Googling.
That's how we raise them by list.
Yeah.
You're right.
We did it last time. Google,
Elegant food.
Google got units wrong last time, so.
I'm saying, this one says max for residential is 38, so I say we say 50. Should encompass everything.
Let's just make it 38 and have people question it.
It actually said
38.
38.4, so don't say
You can
38.
do that, you gotta make it 40,
That's way better.
people know what it is.
The worst case, this is the sacrificial article that everybody pounces on and everything else passes.
Yeah, there you go.
Something has
We've
to.
never lost an article
Oh, there you go.
though. You got it right.
What? Seriously, dude?
No,
It didn't fit.
we've never.
I don't believe you just said that.
So many times.
What do you do to turn around you can't say shit.
Like can't even spit just like that.
What I said?
Some sort of luck thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, jinx.
Yeah.
Oh, jinx. I like the spitting, okay.
Never heard.
No, confidence, the feeling that we have all done our homework to such a level
With Google.
that the town understands. We're communicating as one to the town. And that's why it works.
I do have one question.
And your new name is Chris Pollard.
Yes.
And we have Bill Chainsaw. So.
Wait, I do have.
Can you spell that?
I do have one question though, because if FinCom is voting tomorrow on the number 15,
Yeah,
if they vote against it, will the write-up in the town warrant say? Or could we get it to say, sometimes it says like FinCom comment will be provided at town meeting.
yeah, I would imagine that's what it is, 'cause I'm 99% sure it was reprinted today or tomorrow. And they said they wanted 7.
So it's probably already saying FinCom
I would bet you, it
comments
is.
will be
Yeah,
provided at town meeting.
Yeah.
So we don't need to worry about that, cause that honestly, as a person who used to go to town meeting with no clue what was happening. I read that and I paid attention to what FinCom said, cause it's the only one that's printed. So.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think if it
yeah.
says, they're gonna talk about it there.
So if I talk with Chris and Chris, and Chris is gonna talk something. And,
But you don't need to talk to Downey.
well, him of it, it's just, they want, Greg and Dick asked me.
Well, the answer is you wanna change the number 15 to 50.
Yeah,
You're gonna move, it's gonna be.
but I'm gonna
moved that
move, we're
way.
gonna change it on the motion, or move it, yeah.
The motion is gonna change the number from 50
And-
to
And if
Chris
they-
K.
50, bro.
You're. Chris K, you're gonna get some, a ballpark number from your better half?
I will consult my consultancy.
38.2.
Or
30.4.
And, yeah, so that was a,
I think it's town meeting. It's a big.
that was interesting.
I have no.
And then, like I said, the other thing was that the best was kind of funny that came in. And I think that's everything we have. We hired a new assistant treasurer today, or started today.
Oh. This is a what?
Assistant treasurer.
Oh, wait.
What kind of a background they have? What kind of a background?
Grand Theft Auto.
It's on this website. It just came
Funny
out.
when it
It
has
was a
10 years
financial
on
line,
it,
has
has
it? And,
Yes.
oh, doggone it, we need a health agent, you guys.
Do we hire one?
I don't know. Do you know anybody? No.
What do we need?
A health agent.
Oh, we didn't believe in that stuff, man.
I don't-
Okay.
Do you have anything else for the planner update?
No, just, no, we have the minutes, our minutes, any of the comments from minutes?
They look good.
I have one comment, I can submit it in writing.
And
It's
what?
on August 19th.
Yeah,
It's just about the motion on the minor modification. for 115 Main. So I wrote it down already. But it just says, it's just not clear, so I just wanted to.
Oh, did you write it from?
Yeah, I wrote it down, so
You're
it says. The board found this to be a minor modification, peer review engineering should confirm the wall shifted no more than 12 feet to the east along the length. I wrote that no more than 12 feet to the east compared to the approved design.
Okay.
And the second one is just that we determined that the change is a minor modification with the condition above. It just wasn't written that clear.
Thank you.
So.
What shifted 12 feet?
12 inches.
12 inches.
Yeah, it's 12, it's. They
Oh,
can't
that's
shift
right.
12 inches
Yeah,
from the
Andrew?
original design.
Minor. The engineer did not build the wall, they may have designed it. Oh, good. Good, and this is on which one was this, is like 19th? Same page. Oh, great, even better.
Something builder would tell you.
Hey, like, but Chris, your name is spelled right. We're doing good, I'm doing better. I'm getting there.
Built and, so you're striking built and from the first paragraph on the second page?
No, built to design.
Ah, okay.
Wait, he what? Built and built should change to design. Yeah, yeah, right. Design is spec.
Other comments?
No, on that one.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from August 19th, 2025 with the two changes discussed tonight in paragraphs 1 and. There's 5 on the second page.
Second.
All in favor to approve, please raise your hand. It's 5-0 to approve the meeting minutes of October 19th.
Meeting on 26. The first one, this is a continuation, right? That's the question. It wasn't here.
What, the last one?
I guess, well, no, I mean, it was in the previous meeting, right?
No.
Yeah, no, it was,
Well, so it was a determination on a different item. So technically, there are two different determinations.
Is that right?
Yeah, we made a determination on the wall location, and then on that was August 19th and August
There was,
26th,
it was, yeah,
right? There's a determination of,
yeah, they were just brought as the same
so.
agenda item, that's why.
Yeah, and they are, and we could have a list of 12 different items, and we could say 9 of them are determined to be minor.
Right.
3 of them are major.
Okay,
So.
no, it's fine, just, how'd you like me to write that up, just leave it like it is? Yeah, I mean, if everybody's got. Okay. Cool.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of August 26th, 2025.
Second.
All in favor to approve the meeting minutes, please raise your hand. That's 5-0 to approve the meeting minutes for August 26th.
Yeah.
Anything else, Bill?
That's everything I got, thank you guys.
Our next meeting. We have anything yet. I'll be in touch. I don't think we did.
Everyone's aware that DPW put a moratorium on projects for water use, right? Is the board fully aware of that?
I don't know if it's officially.
I think there's a little room for small projects. There's no room for big projects.
Yeah, I think that's the spirit of it, yeah.
Yeah.
But everyone got that? Yeah.
So,
I hope someone smart decides the spirit.
well, we have a project that may be coming before us. That says they're doing it with a well. So we'll see.
When's our next meeting? I think October 14th.
Yeah.
I don't think we have anything on there, but I'll double check.
All right, I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
I'll second that.
Amen.
Amen. All in favor, please raise your hand. 5-0 to close the meeting. Thanks, everyone.
No, I do have a lot to do.
Dude, I'm excited.
Thanks, everybody. That was a very good meeting once again. All for good board.
I think it's a chance.
Gotta go work with the road safety committee
Oh
though.
my god, I knew everyone was gonna freak out about the pinwheel intersection, you know, the triangle with the pinwheels in it.